start with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, better known as AOC, the Democrat representative from New York. Her first claim to fame, crying to an empty parking lot. Nothing more than a fake photo shoot for publicity. The next on her list was being arrested in front of the Supreme Court protesting the Roe v. Wade decision. But it was somewhat interesting as we watch her walk through. She gets here to the end and up goes her arm. It doesn't look like she was arrested. Following in suit right behind her, her fellow squad member Ilhan Omar. Omar was so excited about this publicity shoot, she didn't even wait to be escorted by police. And when she got down towards the end of her walk, there it goes. Up goes the arm. She's not handcuffed or arrested either. You may remember Ilhan Omar as the congressman that married her brother, which would appear to be an attempt to defraud the immigration system in America. You may also remember Ilhan Omar as the woman, while married, had an affair with her campaign fundraiser who was also married at the time. Interestingly enough, Katie Hill, Democrat from California, was exposed as having a extramarital affair with a campaign worker. She resigned her position, where Ilhan Omar continues to keep hers.
It seems as though the opposing side can't seem to be able to debate the issue. Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this.
What's wrong with you, black women? What's wrong with you? Vote for Barack Obama. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy.
But is that 95% a partial loan forgiveness or a full loan forgiveness rate?
They're getting what the borrowers are applying for the forgiveness entitlement program. 95% have gone through, or a vast majority of full forgiveness, but they're entitled to what the program designed. The government designed a program, and we implement the program very short notice.
Faced by other news outlets that hoped to corroborate reporting, as many did, the newspaper wasn't sharing what it obtained. New York Post had this alleged information and was trying to publish it without any corroboration, without any backup information. They were trying to publish it to Twitter. Twitter did not let them, and now they were upset. I believe that political operatives who sought to inject explosive disinformation with the Washington Post couldn't get away with it. And now they're livid. And they want the ability to do it again. They want the ability to inject this again. So they've dragged a social media platform here in Congress. They're weaponizing the use of this committee so that they can do it again. A whole hearing about a 24-hour hiccup in a right-wing political operation. And I am tired of communities of faith being weaponized and being mischaracterized because the only time religious freedom is invoked is in the name of bigotry and discrimination. And you know, it is rich, so rich to hear the other side discuss the sacred right of voting, discuss what our veterans and our service members fought for in the sacred right of voting, while defending and continuing to defend the disenfranchisement of American citizens in D.C. for their right to vote. Mr. Daniel, once again, as the CEO of Daniel Defense, yes or no, do you believe that members of identified extremist hate groups such as the Proud Boys or Oath Keepers should be able to purchase the AR-15 style rifles that your company sells?
Congresswoman, we're regulated by the ATF through laws which you pass.
The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you. If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, I want everybody to go home. And I want...
We don't got no home. That's why we here.
No, you have not. Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had been talking to me about standing on the aisle and shaking hands.
No, I'm sorry,
Presidents.
Congresswoman
I'm sorry.
Maxine
Okay.
Waters.
Yes,
I'm talking to
okay.
Congressman Engel, who has stood
Okay.
there, and we've shown over the years.
Oh, he is wrapping his arms around Putin while Putin is continuing to advance into Korea. I wish to debate. I wish to ask, is there one United States Senator who will join me in this letter of rejection?
debate.
I have not called for impeachment.
You said I'm going to fight every day until he's impeached. That's what you tweeted.
Yeah, but here's what I've said. Here's what I've said. I've said that we need the information. My greatest desire is to lead him right into impeachment. Impeach 45. Impeach 45. Impeach 45. Because I want you to know that I am more offended as an African American woman than you will ever be. And don't talk to me about the fact that we don't understand what happens on the automobile. No, I will not yell. No, I will not yell.
Okay.
Don't you dare talk to me like that and think that somehow women don't understand what goes on the floor of automobile dealers.
Minded to...
Don't appreciate that you did not interrupt him when he was making those outrageous remarks about him knowing more about discrimination than I know about discrimination. I resent that, and I resent the remark about making America great again.
The Wicked Witch of the West, Maxine Waters, with the low IQ.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not exaggerating when I say that you have called before you two witnesses who pose a direct threat to people who oppose them. This is unacceptable. I'm ready for it. I don't know if a lot of other people are. But just as it was unacceptable for Kevin McCarthy to provide 41,000 hours of sensitive security footage to a biased talking head in an effort to rewrite what happened on January 6th. This is a new Republican playbook, apparently. Risk American safety and security to score political points.
The gentlelady's words should be struck. We do not accuse witnesses of threatening others. That is out of line and
I'm
outside
not
the rules of this
striking down
committee.
that, and I can have an
You don't get to
opinion
determine
about what
what's struck down.
witnesses. We know this is because at the first hearing, the chairman claimed that big government and big tech colluded to shape and mold the narrative and suppress information and censor Americans. This is a false narrative. We're engaging in false narratives here, and we are going to tell the truth. I yield back. I'm not
outside the rules of
striking
this
down
committee.
that, and I can have an
You don't get to
opinion
determine
about
what's
what
struck down.
witnesses-
Well, you
Did
happen
you
to
not
be
get that
Democrat.
offer
You know,
at 8 o'clock last
I'm talking
night?
now. Your time was right.
Neither of us are in time. You
You don't
hear
want
about
the, you don't want the
2011
American people to see.
consent decree?
You don't want the American people.
The Biden
And
administration
you're saying
is
they're
not
here
the
to help us.
FTC.
They're here to.
Is this your question time now?
No, I'm responding to your ridiculous
Oh.
statements you made in your opening statement.
Okay, well, let's get on with it.
Oh, now we want to get on with it. So
I
you can
did.
say all the things you want. And
I
point out
did in
the
my
facts.
opening statement,
I
as
point
well
out all
as you
the
had an
facts.
opening statement. You
Sure.
said what you needed to say in your opening statement, and I, as the ranking member, have
Without
used my
objection,
time.
all other openings.
I don't understand how you could possibly get anything accomplished with a woman like this. She's constantly over talking. She has no respect for the rules, but yet she is one of the people who decide what the rules for society are supposed to be. This is part of our problem. Don't give up. We've got another one.
Being a Republican witness today certainly casts a cloud over your objectivity. Before you became Elon Musk's hand-picked journalist, and pardon the oxymoron, you stated this on Joe Rogan's podcast about being spoon-fed information, and I quote, "I think that's true of any kind of journalism," and you'll see it behind me here. "I think that's true of any kind of journalism. Once you start getting handed things, then you've lost. They have you at that point, and you got to get out of that habit. You just can't cross that line. Do you still believe what you told Mr. Rogan? Yes or no? Yes or no? Now, you crossed that line with the Twitter files.
No.
Elon Musk, it's my time. Please do not interrupt me." And the Republicans have brought in 2 of Elon Musk's public scribes to release cherry-picked, out-of-context emails and screenshots designed to promote his chosen narrative. Elon Musk's chosen narrative that is now being parroted by the Republicans because the Republicans think that these witnesses will tell a story that's going to help them out politically. Mr. Chairman, I'm not exaggerating when I say that you have called before you two witnesses who pose a direct threat to people who oppose them. Elon Musk spoon-fed you his cherry-picked information, which you must have suspected promotes a slanted viewpoint, or at the very least generates another right-wing conspiracy theory. You violated your own standard, and you appear to have benefited from it. Before the release of the emails in August of last year, you had 661,000 Twitter followers. After the Twitter files, your followers doubled, and now it's 3 times what it was last August.
Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. It's strong with these two. This woman, Schultz, member of Congress, just shows that women, even in federal government, believe that social media is the real world.
Lori Lightfoot made history by becoming Chicago's first black gay female mayor. Last night, after 4 years of incompetence, she made history by becoming Chicago's first mayor in 40 years of any color, either gender, gay or straight, not to win re-election. The top issue was crime. Since her election in 2019, there has been, get this, a 27% increase in robbery, 31% increase in theft, and a 270% increase in motor vehicle thefts. That's not a typo, 270% increase. Since the beginning of her term, Chicago has had 2,278 homicides and over 9,000 people shot. Homicides have reached rates not seen since the 1990s. While the city is about 1/3 black, most of the homicide victims in 2022, more than 3 out of every 4 were black. And of these black homicides, get this, over 70% of the cases go unsolved. In the first 3 weeks of 2023, the city's crime rate is up 61%. Chicago's Magnificent Mile has seen several high-profile stores close up and abandon ship. Stores like Macy's, Old Navy, Banana Republic, Gap, Uniqlo, and Timberland have all closed down. The vacancy rate in the Magnificent Mile is up almost 30%. 6 years ago, according to Craig's, it was under 5%. To combat robberies, Mayor Lightfoot said not to, quote, use money if at all possible, use other forms of transactions to carry out your business. What's next? Laws demanding cash control? Indeed, County State Attorney Kim Foxx essentially promised not to prosecute anybody who shoplifted a value of less than $1,000. Shockingly, shoplifting increased. In response, Lightfoot said merchants should lock up their merchandise. In a press conference, she said, quote, we shouldn't be locking up non-violent individuals just because they can't afford to pay bail, end of quote. In 2020, Lightfoot promised to cut $80 million from the police budget, a promise thankfully she failed to keep. And her relationship with the media has been, well, let's just say, interesting.
Do you really believe that the criticism of you is 99.9% based on the fact that you're a black woman?
So you said about 15 things, most of which were wrong. Your question, frankly, was insulting.
Will you rescind your violent tweet to call to arms?
Now let him talk. The more he talks, the more stupid he sounds. And if you don't want to abide by those rules, you can take your nonsense someplace else. Because I am about full up with you. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You will stop speaking. You will stop speaking. You're full of crap. And that's the nicest thing that I can say. If you do not stop, I will ask you to leave, and I will make sure that the police take you out of here. And let me be clear with you. I'm not patting myself on the back. God.
Okay.
You are one of the rudest people I've ever seen.
Your office says that you invited black and brown journalists to this round of interview. Why?
I think in this one day, when we are looking at the 2-year anniversary of my inauguration, as a woman of color, as a lesbian, it's important to me that diversity is put front and center. Sir, just a moment. I'm actually talking, and I'd appreciate if you didn't interrupt me. And you haven't been called on, you know the rules, so you'll get called on when it's your turn.
Have no fear. The insanity is not isolated to just the left.
Stop being insane. That's Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene. shouting. At first, it appears that a number of Democrats and others gathered on the steps of the Capitol. And that was Michigan Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, a Democrat, shouting back. From there, let's just say things escalated.
You know what? Killing a baby up until birth is a lack of civility. It's called murder. Hey, how about the border down there? Lack of civility. How about lack of laws or protecting and upholding our Constitution? Respect is the basic thing you're taught in church. Respect your church? Are you kidding me? Try being a Christian.
She stood at the top of the Capitol steps and yelled at a group of us.
We spoke with Dingell Friday after this encounter from about noon the same day. Dingell tells us Green had been yelling for 10 minutes before she stepped in.
So I don't want anybody to copy me, but on the other hand, I don't think people have to put up with bullying. I've been bullied at too many points in my life. I was trying to get her to just be civil because she comes after people. None of us wants to push back, but I will tell you, she did leave.
And as you can see, Green is walking away here.
She better show up. If she chickens out, then she shows exactly who she really is. A scared little girl that is pretty stupid and doesn't know anything about the economy or economics. How did you get over 30 appointments with senators? How'd you do that? How did you get major press coverage on this issue? And how did you get kids? Why do you use kids? He's got nothing to say. Sad. He has nothing to say because there really isn't anything to say, you guys. He has nothing to say because he's paid to do this. He had 30 appointments where he went around and got to talk to senators. I got to talk to none. He had media coverage all over the place. I had zero. Guess what? I'm a gun owner. I'm an American citizen. And I have nothing, but this guy with his George Soros funding and his major liberal funding has got everything. I want you to think about that. That's where we are. And he's a coward. He can't say one word because he can't defend his stand.
Out of all the women that I've shown, Marjorie Greene, I believe, should be evaluated psychologically. I believe there is something wrong with that woman mentally. Chasing people down, yelling at them on the street. They're trying to just walk away. She is the type of woman, if you were married to her and there was a disagreement and it got heated, and if you as a man tried to walk out of the house, she would continue to chase you down instead of letting it lay. I do not find this behavior to be acceptable of a human being, let alone a member of Congress. All of these women use the same tactics. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Marjorie Greene is calling other people names. Let's see what President Putin has to say on the state of society in America.
Тут против нас все более агрессивные информационные атаки. Целью выбирают прежде всего, конечно, молодых людей, молодые поколения. И здесь опять лгут постоянно, извращают исторические факты, не прекращают нападки на нашу культуру, на русскую православную церковь, другие традиционные религиозные организации нашей страны. Посмотрите, что они делают со своими собственными народами. Разрушение семьи, культурной и национальной идентичности, извращение, издевательство над детьми вплоть до педофилии объявляются нормой их жизни. А священнослужители, священников принуждают благословлять однополые браки. Да Бог с ними, пускай что хотят, то и делают. Что здесь хочется сказать? Взрослые люди имеют право жить, как хотят. Мы к этому так и относились в России, и всегда к этому будем так относиться. Никто в частную жизнь не вторгается, и мы не собираемся этого делать. Но хочется им сказать, посмотрите, извините меня, священное писание, главные книги всех других мировых религий. Там все сказано, в том числе то, что семья – это союз мужчины и женщины. Но и эти.
Now let's take a look at the situation with the training in our United States Army. Here we have the young man running up to the obstacle, and he can't get over it. Now keep in mind, this is the easiest in this section of obstacles. This is the lowest wall. Does this inspire confidence in our military? Is this where we're going? And here we have a different group. Same wall. Same wall. And they don't seem to be able to get over it. Oh, he's hurt his arm. Look, just one after another that cannot get past this obstacle. This is the result of lowering the requirements and the standards, which they did so that women could be in the military. We've done it for police departments and fire departments. It's becoming obvious that women are not capable of doing what men do physically. Now women say that the problem is we need more women in government. Well, let's take a look at what happened with an all-woman company a few years back and listen to what the woman that owned the company, the conclusion that she had come to.
Says cat fights over handbags, tears in the toilets. When this producer launched a woman-only TV company, she thought she'd kissed goodbye to conflict. Over in one corner sat Alice, a strong-minded 27-year-old who always said what she thought. And in the other corner was Sarah, a 30-something high flyer who wanted to stand up for herself momentarily, then burst into tears and run for the ladies' room. Their simmering fight lasted hours, egged on by spectators taking sides and fueling the anger. The venomous women were supposedly the talented employees I had headhunted to achieve my utopian dream, a female-only company with happy, harmonious workers benefiting from an absence of men. It was an idyllic vision swiftly shattered by the nightmare reality. Constant crabbiness, surging hormones, unchecked emotion, attention-seeking, and fashion rivalry so fierce it tore my staff apart. Listen to that last part. 5 years ago, I was working as a TV executive producer, making TV show for top channels such as MTV and based in Los Angeles. It sounded like a dream job, and it could have been if I'd been male. Working in TV is notoriously difficult for women. There's a powerful old boys network, robust glass ceiling, and the majority of bosses are men. Gradually, what started out as my daydream, wouldn't it be great if there were no men where I worked, turned into an exciting concept. I decided to create the first all-male-female production company. We were all smart, intelligent, career-oriented women, could work harmoniously. So in April 2005, I remortgaged my house for $100,000. Even when we all went to the pub after work, strict divisions remained. It says, my deputy Sarah, the general manager, first showed how much style mattered when she advertised for an office assistant and refused to hire the best qualified girl because she could not distinguish Nisoni from Marc Jacobs. This girl would have been making tea and running errands, but it didn't change the decision not to hire her because I had a policy of picking my battles carefully. I was often trying to win contracts, but back at the office, work was an afterthought. It came second to conversations about shopping, boyfriends, and diets. Oh, and the spiteful comments from my two development researchers who were sharpening their acrylic nails against another staff member, Natasha. 6 months after the company's inception, tension spilled over when one of the researchers took Natasha's laptop and refused to return it. At that time of the month, which in an office staffed only by women meant someone was always at the point, and any bad mood was swiftly passed on to the rest of the team as if by osmosis. Hormones came second as an excuse for absence, and bad temper only to love life problems. The effect a lack of testosterone was having in our office was even more apparent when I temporarily hired 2 male directors to work on a series. Camera operators are usually men because of the heavy equipment. The team suddenly became quieter, more hardworking, and less crabby, partly because they were too busy flirting. 2 girls openly went after one director, even though he had a live-in girlfriend. His partner didn't stand a chance with their relentless flirting and was dumped when one of them won his affections. When we had a meeting with men, staff turned ferocious, each out trying to prove that they were the most attractive in the room. With a male commissioner at Channel 4, one employee said, "Watch this," then stuck her hand down her bra and tweaked her pointies. The man and I were speechless. In this climate, I didn't dare employ any men because of the distraction, and even worse, the cat fights they created. I hate how much this sounds like stereotyping, but I'm afraid it's what I found to be true. Close to $500,000 in our first year should have meant profit, but this was wiped out by high salaries and accounting errors by staff. Then we began having cash flow problems. Sarah signed herself off sick with stress for a month. She also confessed she'd been dodging calls from people who were due payment, thus ruining the firm's reputation. The women were fighting over the guys. My general manager was nowhere to be found, bills hadn't been paid, and the tension in the office was palpable. To pump extra cash in the business, I sold both my cars, but it was too late and we went bankrupt in 2007, less than 2 years after I formed the company. Though I will not absolve myself of all guilt, I believe the business was ruined by the destructive jealousy and infighting of an all-female staff. Their selfishness and insecurities led to my company's demise. When I needed the so-called sisterhood, believe me, it just wasn't there. If I had to do it again, I would probably only hire all males.
Adding more women to the government will only make things worse. I believe that at this point, if we are going to save our nation, we need to remove women from all positions of power. It's more than evident that when a woman is put in a position of power, she does not know how to use that power effectively. She becomes a bully. The rules don't apply. Do any of these people look like the minds that created the Constitution? And if your answer to that question is no, then why are we allowing them to play with it? I included Lori Lightfoot, mayor of Chicago, just as an example that this is taking place in every area of society in America where we have put women in positions of power. You have the mayor of Seattle and her Summer of Love in the autonomous zone, where 23 people were murdered in just a couple months in that beloved autonomous zone. We have Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan with her fake kidnapping scam. AOC and Ilhan Omar, fake being arrested. AOC, the fake crying at an empty parking lot. And now we have Jim Thoughts posting videos of fake harassment by men. This behavior is coming from our federal government. It's no wonder that the people are now emulating what government is doing. If our representatives in Congress can do this and suffer no harm for it, why wouldn't women everywhere in society do it? This needs to stop. And the sooner we stop it and put an end to it, the better off we're going to be. If we don't put an end to it, this literally will be the fall of America. Make no mistake, America can fall. And you are watching the death of a nation.
I really do believe that on a deeper note, I believe we're watching the fall of a nation right in front of our eyes. I actually believe that we're watching the fall of the West in general right in front of our eyes. And I said the women, and I say that because the women are degenerating, in my personal opinion. The women are degenerating, the whole society goes to pot. The men are now saying that they can be women. Now, do you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying the whole society is going to pot.
That's it for me. Y'all have a great day, and I'm out.